Hi, I'm Kara Smulovitz. This is Denise Rogers, and we're on our Formidable 5 artwork number 4. As a reminder, this series of artworks, 5 that we're calling the Formidable 5, are 5 works that are really good examples of super important concepts that help you to understand contemporary art. And the fourth one we're going to talk about is by Mendieta. It's from a series called Silhouette series, and the actual object is just a single photograph from 1976. Before we go on to this image, you want to set anything up for our students?
This is not a feminist work of art.
That's a question for potential rejections, right? Are you saying that so people will argue with you?
Well, potential.
Rejections. Yes.
Food for thought. Is it? Ask yourself that question. Mm-hmm. Is it feminist? Is it not?
You know that painting of the pipe that says, "This is not a pipe"?
Mm-hmm.
We could have the Mendieta and say, "This is not feminist art," and have people ask. Okay, so now that we've confused you right off the bat, we're going to go ahead to this image. And let's disappear, me and Denise. Okay, so first I just want to describe to you what this is, because I think it's really quite beautiful, but it's a little confusing.
It's striking.
So this is the shape of the artist's body. You see it looks like almost like a goalpost. That's her arms. And then that's where the head would be. And then this, she's worked her body into the sand here. And then has thrown this pigment into it and then photographed it. Right? Am I missing something? Is that basically how it's made? Mm-hmm. It's called silhouette because, of course, that's like a silhouette. So Denise sort of was bringing up this issue of feminism, which, this is a woman whose body is imprinted in the earth. You've definitely got some issues around feminine identity and connections between womanhood and the earth and what people think about that. But for me, this particular image is really just about the body, and it could be men's bodies or women's bodies. But the idea that the body itself created this artwork. So this isn't a painting or a sculpture. It is a photo, but the photo is kind of beside the point. The actual body in the earth is the thing that created the artwork. It's like she threw out paintbrushes and threw out, carving tools and said, "My body's all I need."
Yes, and it marks a pivotal time in art, because artists are starting to use the body more so rather than recreating the body, but whether in sculpture or a two-dimensional painting, their body becomes the work of art, which I like to add isn't new if you go back to the history of tattooing, where the body becomes a canvas. Mm-hmm. But here's the entire three-dimensional body being used as a form of art, as the material itself, or at least in this case, to leave a mark or a silhouette of the body.
Yeah, and the thing that you just said that really resonated with me is you said it's not a representation of the body, but the body actually is the art. Is that right? Yeah. So art usually is a representation of the body, particularly women's bodies, right? We see so many paintings of women's bodies or sculptures. So she's playing around with our expectations there.
Yeah.
What do you think is the red about?
Without giving too much information, I think you can see it as because she goes into Mexico and looks at the Mexican Revolution, you can look at it from a historical perspective and abuses of the body. Mm-hmm. And then also symbolically in relation to women's bodies and how red, and I'm not going to answer this because I think a student should answer this, what does red represent in relation to a female body, but then also in reference to bodies in general, to life in general, to the earth.
And the fact that it's in the earth, we know she wants us to think about those bigger questions about, like, connections to colors and nature and all of that. She's like making us talk about that.
Exactly.
Right.
What are our connections to the earth?
Right. So I think we've given students a lot of different directions they could go in with this, but one thing that I want to stress before we let them go is this idea that the artist's body can be the artwork, that you can get rid of the object that costs a certain amount of money, or that you could match to your sofa and show off at a dinner party, like the painting that's worth something. And you get rid of all of that, and instead it's just the artist's body and then what the viewer is going to make of it, of that thing. I think that's really important, and it's something that you see so much in contemporary art.
Right, and I think what you just said reminded me of some more recent images where you'll be looking at an image and then all of a sudden someone will emerge from like a mural and it's their actual body, but they had disappeared into the two-dimensional form. But yeah, it begins here. Yeah.
And there's something to that, right? Like that because we are a body looking at an artwork. Like of course, our eyes are inside of our body. Like we're looking at something, and when we look at an artwork and it has the artist's body in it in that way, it kind of refers us back to our own. It makes you more of an embodied viewer instead of just a floating pair of eyeballs.
Right.
Except for if you are a floating pair of eyeballs. I don't mean to discourage people who are floating pairs of eyeballs from understanding.
But you become more aware of your body and your body within a particular environment, a particular space.
Yes.
And how your body relates to other things around you.
I think that's good. So as you can see, there's lots of different ways to think about this, but keep those key concepts about the body and nature and the idea that artwork can be the artist's body, not necessarily a representation of a body. And we'll let it go with that. Unless, last word? Okay, good. Goodbye.